We've come to the northwest of England to see a car that's instantly recognisable. The fact that it's a replica takes nothing away from its brutal beauty. There are hundreds around, many more than were originally made, but each one unique. Meet the Imposter.
I went to Mallory Park with a friend of mine, and I saw this car, which I hardly knew, sitting on its own on an area of grass in the paddock. I could immediately love the shape of it, and I was interested in it. I squatted down to look inside, as we do, and I remember seeing the instrument panel, and particularly the speedometer on the left-hand side, whereas the tachometer was immediately in front of the driver. I don't know why that should particularly appeal to me, but it did. A lot of time passed between my seeing the car first and my seeing the one that became my car on a forecourt nearby, and I stopped and had a look at it, and I didn't have any idea that I might buy it because it was a bit expensive. But that didn't make any difference. I wasn't looking at it with a view to buying it, so I just looked round it and then left. Not long later, I read a piece in the local paper to the effect that supercar goes up in flames. I don't remember how I found out where to approach people, but it turns out to have been in the garage, at the back of a garage where I could hardly see it. And it was looking very sorry for itself, but the one good thing about it is the price had dropped. So then the idea came to me, shall I buy it? And then I did. I paid $10,000 for it. I thought that was an official secret. I went to see it, although it was fairly dark and didn't see it very well, but it didn't seem too badly damaged. And I thought, well, I can do something with this, and especially because the price now was within my range. I told my wife what I'd done, and she wasn't pleased. Her actual words were, if it comes, I go. But she didn't. I hadn't a clue how long it would take, but what it did take is 10 years. And I was working at the time, so I couldn't sort of work on the car, and I had a family, a growing family. So there would be periods, 10, 15 weeks maybe, without doing anything on it. And then I think, I've got to do something on it. I've got to push it forwards, or it'll never be done. I stripped it down as much as I can, and see what we've got when it's actually arrived at home. And then as I took bits off it and threw bits away and so on, gradually I ended up with a chassis, basically. The chassis was fine. All I needed was rubbing down and repainting. Then I started to rebuild it, and then my own ideas came into play. I found people that I could get information from about how to do it, and I found other people who were building them, and they gave me, helpful hints and so on. The bodywork was pretty much damaged, not the front, but then I couldn't replace only the rear because I couldn't get hold of parts that would fit to the front. So I had a complete new set of bodywork. And then I wanted to widen the rear wheel arches because I wanted wider wheels on it. They're not original ideas, they just come on me, and I think, well, I like it with a wider base at the rear. The uprights, I made up new uprights, changing the lights, for instance. So I'm trying to keep the shape whilst having it work in a modern way and so on. Eventually I changed the brakes over to AP racing brakes, for instance. I changed the gearbox. This was a considerable amount of time after having used it, having run it, and not being satisfied with the way the gearbox was. and so the gear selection mechanism had to be a rod system, not a cable system, a quaife gearbox and power steering, because it was heavy, very heavy all the time since I've had it, sort of improving it as I saw it. The lights were originally were Renault, which actually were the ones that were used by Ford. Ford didn't use all Ford parts, they used bits and pieces from other cars. Their engine was a Ford engine, but the gearbox was certainly not a Ford part. I've never regarded the car as being a kit car, although obviously we buy bits of kit for it. I wanted things to work properly. Well, people say, is it a real one? And of course our answer is, yes, it is a real one, in that it exists kind of thing. But none of them are the same. The interest we have in going around and watching, seeing, looking at other people's cars is how they've approached a particular problem. And none of us really seem to do the same thing with the same object in mind. And it's nice to see, oh, I look at someone else's car and oh, that's a nice thing, I'll have that, you know, I must change the lights, or I must change this and that. Yeah, I've made mistakes, I know. I've known that I'm making mistakes in a sense. I know that this won't necessarily work, so we go back to basics and so on. For instance, the air conditioning has a radiator at the front, in front of the main radiator. I decided that it was taking some of the cooling away from the air conditioning radiator, so I wanted to put it somewhere else. And I thought long and hard about how I could do it, and eventually I put it the back of the front of the engine. In other words, it was something in the front of the car. But I had a problem with how I was going to put air into this thing, so I put some vents in. The vents are for brake cooling, but I use them because I'm not racing. I use them for ventilation into the air conditioning system. I added things like bracing to the chassis for stiffness and safety. The engine is a Ford 302, enlarged in capacity to 331, which is the equivalent to a 5.4 in metric terms. The original carburetors were almost racing carburetors, and the ones I replaced them, because I wasn't going to race it, were more fuel efficient. I was more concerned to get down to the south coast of England on a single tank full. Actually, it's got two tanks under the sills, and they're quite short. They don't sort of occupy the whole area of the sill. So I decided that I could lengthen them, which is what I did. In fact, I had new ones made. And it increased, I would think by a third of capacity, and that helped. I can remember being wary of it, really, because I mean, it's a powerful car, and what had I not got right? You know, is a wheel going to fall off or something? You know, I think it took me a bit of time to become confident of it and make some more changes and sort of finish it off. It can get round corners quickly, it can accelerate quickly, it can brake quickly, and it's a racing car. Incidentally, Ford did build a number of GT40s for the road, so it was a car that could be used on the road, and rarely can racing cars be actually used on the road. I would say the GT40 is the last car that could really be used as both a racing car and a road car. I was very happy when eventually I got it all sorted. I felt a number of things. Firstly, how nice it was to drive. Secondly, I liked the way people sort of stopped to look at it and so on. It does attract attention, and that you feel proud of because you're part of why it exists, as it were. It's not an extravagant thing in a way. I've not wanted it to be extravagant. I've not wanted it to say, look at me, I've got a lot of money. I want it to set people to see it and say, oh, look at that, and not think that the owner of that is you've got too much more money than sense or whatever, you know. It's a car that I've always loved the shape of it. When Ford built the car, it was built in this colour, this white, with the blue stripes, and that's why I chose to use that. Also, I liked the white, and I liked the stripes. My garage is much tidier now than it is usually the case, but always sticking out its nose whenever the garage door is opened is the front of it, because it's always in back tin, and the nostrils and the light systems and so on, and then as the garage door rises, more of it is revealed. And I do stand and look at it for a moment and think, and I think it's beautiful.